Hello everyone, this is Adarsh Jain from Team Docplexus. We are here at New Delhi covering the INSEAD ISEP Summit 2018. We have with us Professor Jasjit Singh, who believes in building businesses that have social impact, and he is someone who has brought positive impact on businesses. We welcome you, Professor.
Thank you, Adarsh. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So, you've had a career in corporate first and then you switched to academia. Can you tell us what motivated that switch?
So I was in the corporate world only for 3 years, and that was enough for me to realize that that was not the right career track for me, because in academia I like two things. One is the flexibility to do what I like to do. I don't have a boss, and the second is the opportunity to be permanently learning new things every day, and I felt that that was the right track for me.
Okay, so you must be enjoying teaching.
So it's a combination. My time is spent roughly equally between activities related to teaching, my research projects, and broadly what we call institutional things, which can be administration. It can be interacting with social entrepreneurs, companies, and so on.
Great.
Mix.
So, great. Professor, you have traveled the entire world, you've gone to a lot of places and have been witness to a lot of cultures. Do you draw inspirations from some of them? Do you see something that has left an impact on you?
So certainly, I would say, all of them, which is, I think every time you get a chance to interact with any particular culture, you learn something new and it becomes a part of you, and I think you grow as a human being. So most definitely.
Nice. Professor, we see a lot of students showing willingness to become social entrepreneurs today. But is that true since you see a lot of MBA students graduating every year, is that true?
So I would say it's important to think of not just social entrepreneurs, but social impact more broadly. So certainly there's a segment of students who are looking to become social entrepreneurs, and they have a lot of passion, but there are others who want to make a meaningful difference to the world, but very often still pursuing traditional careers.
True.
In business, in finance, but deliberately having this, I use the word intentionality for social impact, and trying to combine that in their career. So,
great, nice to hear that. Dr. Jasjit, we also see another trend that a lot of entrepreneurs working in the social field, they're reluctant about getting into the business because they are unable to create balance between profitability and sustainability. What do you think they should do?
So I would say it's a little bit of a choice, which is, on the one hand, people say, the world of social impact and the world of profits is completely different. That's not true, because increasingly we see overlap, we see business models which are having a positive impact. At the same time, I think it's too much to expect that every single societal issue we are trying to address will have a profitable model behind it where you can become rich. So I think it's a little bit of, first you have to go in with a very clear mind of how much is the compromise you're willing to make, and that helps you guide in terms of perhaps some kind of problems you might not be able to address because it's just hard to make it financially sustainable, and it does require compromises. In other settings, you might be able to find solutions which are market solutions where you don't have a personal sacrifice. So it's more than anything, I would say, having that clarity on what you're about. And because it's important not just for you, it's important for you to communicate to your family, for them to understand the choices you're making together. It's not just your choice. But then important that your board is aligned with you on that, your people you hire are aligned with you on that, and your investors are aligned with you on that. Because most of the trouble happens when this clarity is not there, and it's not widespread in terms of communication. That's where the challenges arise.
True. So, Dr. Jasjit, you were talking that there are a few models that are working well for a few entrepreneurs. So, there is this one model that's called Lockstep that's been I mean, that's been very prominent among new entrepreneurs today. Can you tell us more about it?
So people use the word lockstep to describe a situation in which just growing the business naturally leads to more impact. Let's say, your business involves using rural entrepreneurs and generating jobs. So, the more villages you go to, the more jobs you generate. So that would be called a lockstep model. But again, connecting to my previous comment, I think sometimes lockstep models come without a compromise in terms of growing the business really has an impact, in which case, that's fantastic. So for example, let's say you're Tesla and you're doing electric cars, and every electric car you sell replaces a traditional car. If that was the reality, well, the more Tesla sells cars, the more positive impact you have on the world. So every time, you're out there, you don't have to think, what is the impact of my business? It comes naturally. On the other hand, if you're producing products and services which has issues of, let's say, affordability, let's say you're talking about medicine. Now, it's not necessarily true that the more medicine that you sell is necessarily trying to help you achieve the impact that you want. If you were all about, I want to reach the poorest segments of the society, maybe just having a mindset of, hey, I'm just going to grow my business profitably might not let you address those. Maybe you need a cross-subsidy model, which, some kind of funders, some kind of boards, some kinds of companies, they can support, while others might not be able to. So on the one hand, it has a lot of potential, certainly, but we have to be, I would almost use the word humble in acknowledging that certain problems, certain market segments, certain beneficiaries cannot be addressed always with a lockstep model, and you have to think of compromises, and it's a little bit of a choice in those settings.
True. I hope social entrepreneurs coming up take this message for themselves. Professor, we also see that it's not easy to scale a social enterprise. What challenges do most entrepreneurs face?
So one of the things I would say in scaling, the challenge, well, there can be many challenges, but certainly one of the challenges is not even validating the model enough and trying to scale too quickly. I think social enterprises, just like enterprises in general, require patience and time to develop the model. So it's not just that you sort of initially had your pilot or your design phase, but then you have to validate whether the model really works. And in traditional enterprises, that validation would be validating the business model. But really, if you're a social enterprise, it's also about validating whether the impact is being delivered before you scale up. The numbers add up. You're really able to change lives in the way that you want. And the last thing is, sometimes as you scale up, you're reaching different segments, and not all segments are the same. A village in Haryana might be very different from a village in Gujarat, and if you take the model from Haryana and you just say you're going to roll it out nationally, maybe it's not going to work in Gujarat. So that additional layer of validating at each step of scaling, saying what works in one place, one setting, one segment, is it really going to work in another? I think, therefore, taking your time, I think not going too fast. If anything, I would say on average, social entrepreneurs almost tend to be too early in their ambition to scale without either sufficiently validating the initial model, or even if they're validated, without recognizing that the next segment, the next village, the next state, the next country for that matter, might not be as ripe for your original solution.
Okay. So I hope a lot of social entrepreneurs take this message of validating things before they scale up. Professor, we are at this summit, ISEP here. You've been engaging with a lot of prospective entrepreneurs here. What message do you have for people who would like to start a business in the area of, say, urbanization or energy or migration?
I would say, I think it's important to, in your mind, have a long-term ambition that's large, but at the same time, start small with a specific problem in a specific context with a specific segment, and really start with a problem. Don't start with the solution. Don't say I am an AI guy, I am a a big data guy, or I'm going to take Bitcoin and find a problem to solve. You start with a real problem, understand the customer's or the beneficiary's perspective, and the word that we use sometimes is make sure you have empathy. And it's important to distinguish between empathy and sympathy. You're not trying to develop a model because you're feeling pity for somebody, but it's right, you're really understanding how their lives are and how your solution will help address those. And hence, starting small but validating, and then ultimately, hopefully, scaling up by finding other opportunities where the model might also be applicable.
Great. Your insights are very useful. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, will take message from here, and your insights make impact on a lot of people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Jasjit Singh, for joining too.
It's been a pleasure, Adarsh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.